My name is Zain Mohammed. I'm a software developer at 800 Tech Limited, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the Procurement Process Software Solution that was built using eFlow Designer to address the government's legislation regarding the handling of the procurement process. To begin, we will look at getting started with a purchase requisition, followed by submitting a request for quotation once a requisition has gone through all stages of approval, then performing a quotation analysis, and finally creating a purchase order. At the very end, we will also briefly touch on how all of this information can be made available to the interested users via our reporting tools. Creating a purchase requisition is relatively simple. A requester simply needs to enter some information pertaining to their request and submit the form at the very end once all of the required fields have been populated. Following this, the process will be passed on to managers, finance officers, and finally the Office of Procurement for approvals. Once a request has been made and approved at all required stages, we can now look at preparing a request for quotation, which will be sent to the various vendors that we select. It is important to note that a procurement officer will be creating a request for quotation. Preparing a request for quotation begins by reviewing all of the information provided by the requester, which we entered into the form previously. Once a procurement officer completes their review, a minimum of one vendor can be selected to receive a request for quotation document. Following this, the items desired as part of the request for quotation can be selected. Once the officer is finished entering information, the form can be submitted, and with that, the request for quotation document is generated with the data entered. Now, since we've already submitted the form, a field will appear with our request for quotation document, which we can view. And as you can see, some information from our request has been populated, and this information can be sent along in a PDF attachment along with an email message if we so choose to the vendor in an automatic email to the vendor. Alternatively, the form can be printed and sent to the vendor manually. It is important to note that this email process works specifically by utilizing the vendors entered into the procurement software as vendors that will be applicable for receiving requests for quotations and by extension, purchase order documents. Once a request for quotation is submitted to the applicable vendors and the allotted time has passed for vendors to submit their quotations, it is now time to perform a quotation analysis to select one vendor for our request for a laptop computer. The procurement officer begins by once again reviewing the information pertaining to the purchase requisition. Once completed, some information must be populated, including the quotation document provided by each respective vendor, as well as the details of the quotation in a table corresponding to that which was provided by the vendor. Once completed, the form can be submitted for review and for analysis. Our quotation analysis is straightforward. The procurement officer simply selects the offer most suitable for the needs of the request, provides some rationale as to their choice, and finally selects their payment terms. With all of these fields populated, the procurement officer need only leave a comment in the log field, which will be viewed by other users later on in the process to better understand their rationale for selection. Once this is complete, the form can be submitted, and following this, we proceed on to the creation of the purchase order. Finally, we arrive at the creation of the purchase order. The procurement officer simply populates the required fields with the information needed. Following this, the form is submitted for approval. Once approved by a manager, the purchase order document is generated. Since we've done the approval stage ahead of time, we'll go ahead and open the document generated to view it. And as you can see, the information pertaining to our purchase order is available in this document. Now that we've completed this, we again have the option of emailing the purchase order to the vendors or manually submitting it. Now we move on to reporting. Reports are available that we have previously created to reflect key areas of the process. Any number of reports can be created to reflect specific needs. For the purposes of this video, we're simply going to review a report known as a dashboard for our purchase requisition process. As you can see, all of the information pertaining to our purchase requisitions is available. Now, reports can be customized and fields can be added or removed as required. So we have our general purchase requisition field along with our item table. At the very left, we have our filters, which filter by specific data points. So we can go ahead and filter this listing to find our purchase requisition created and approved in this demo, which will be the very last purchase requisition on this list, as seen here. We select it, and as you can see, the updates happen in real time to retrieve the information pertaining to our selected purchase requisition from the database. This data can then be exported and saved in these various file formats: PDF, JPEG, or Excel. With this, we have at our fingertips access to information from all requisitions. And the same is true for other parts of the process, should a report be required for it, or should we create a report for it. With this, we've come to the end of our demo for our newly developed procurement process software. I thank you for your time.